if you had the chance to stand up on a stage and tell your story, unscripted, without the fear of being judged or without someone saying something to you, would you do it? So that's what I was asked to stand on the stage and do today, to tell my story, unscripted. We Rise Again. The first time I heard the song We Rise Again was at my first graduation from CBU in 2018. And when I heard that song, I felt such a sense of pride because I had made it. Then I once again heard that song in the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in May 2021. And I watched it virtually from my living room with my foot up in the air because I had fell the night before. And the joke going around was, we were glad that it was a virtual graduation because I couldn't get up the stairs, let alone if I would have had to walk across the stage. Finally, the last time I heard this song was when I stood on the stage as a platform guest with so many faculty members that I had admired my whole CBU career. And I gave the alumni address on behalf of the CBU Alumni Board. I would not be where I am if it wasn't for CBU. So at the age of 11, I was diagnosed with learning disabilities and with generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder. When I think about my childhood, I was bullied, and that really affected my confidence in how I perceived myself. And when I think of going through, and I think of high school, and I missed out on an entrance scholarship to CBU by 0.25%. But nonetheless, I proceeded, and I started at CBU. Cape Breton University, round 1. The fact that I'm able to say that at this point is kind of cool. So, my first time, I did a communications major. And when I think of my time in the communications program, I remember standing there and having to present and holding onto my cue card so tightly because I was so scared to stand up there and present. And I think that me that started the undergrad would not think I would be here right now. And I definitely contribute me finding my voice to the communications department. And the next part of my CBU journey that I talk about so much is the Jennifer Keeping Center. So the Jennifer Keeping Center is accessibility services here on campus. And I would not have made it through my undergraduate degree if it wasn't for the services that the Jennifer Keeping Center provided. So if we look at the two pictures, the picture in the grad gown is after my first graduation from CBU in 2018, and the other picture is me about a month ago when I decided it would be cool to have those two pictures beside each other. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about in my CBU round 1 is my BACS placement. And when I was preparing the TED Talk, it was interesting to think about the fact that prior to my BACS placement, I had not stepped foot in the North Sydney Food Bank. And 8 years later, I'm still there. So, if I wouldn't have done the placement, I wouldn't be standing here. I'm not sure what would have happened. My life now. When I look at all these pictures, it's crazy. When I think of everything that has happened in the last year, it's beyond my wildest dreams. Seton Community Complex. As they say, they're the ones that live rent-free inside my head, and they're not wrong. So, we started Seton Community Complex Youth Center, which is in the same building as North Sydney Food Bank. We started that a year and a half ago. And We started with one program, Dungeons and Dragons, and 12 youth. And today, as it stands, we have 16 active programs this month, over 300 youth registered with us, and 50 that attend regularly each week. This is beyond what I ever would have thought could have happened from a conversation in the living room. And when I look at these pictures, I am so glad and so proud of these kids and everything that we have done. My why. So in this picture is a little boy. His name's Henry. And when he started with us, he was nonverbal autistic. And the first time he walked into my program, he ran around my gym and around my gym and around my gym and around my gym. I did not know what I was going to do. And a few months later at Christmas, he walked up to me and he said my name for the first time. And I could have cried because hearing this little boy who barely talked to anyone a few months prior say my name was such an amazing thing. And so anyway, about a year later, we were making birthday decorations for Lawrence's 80th birthday. And we look over, and there's Henry standing with Taryn. Henry saying, house. And Taryn's drawing a house. Then Taryn walks over to me, proud as anything. Me and Henry are building a house. Good job, babe. And we just kind of stared at them for a bit, and I think they thought we were crazy. But for this little boy to be standing there interacting with someone who is his own age was such an amazing accomplishment. And I changed the slide around a few days ago because of something that had happened. So my best friend was going to Ontario for 4 months, and I wanted Henry to give Ayushi the card. And I said, okay, come on, I got a secret mission. And he went and he gave Ayushi the card. And then he ran up and gave her a hug. That right there shows the benefit that programming can have for children. Sydney Mines Middle School and my Master of Education program. When I look at these two things, you start to think, okay, what's the connection? So last academic year, I TA'd a whole bunch at Sydney Mines, and the teachers there, they helped me write my letter of intent. They encouraged me to go into the master's program when I was so scared and was really not sure if I was able to do it. They helped encourage me to get there. And initially, I wasn't accepted into the Master of Education program. And I was actually at Sydney Mines Middle School when I found out, and I remember I was so upset. And one of the teachers looked at me, she said, don't give up. 2 weeks later, I was standing outside the regional hospital because my mom had been in and out of the hospital for about 3 months at this point. And I was like, I'm going to just check my portal. And I opened up my portal, and I was accepted. And the first thing I looked at my mother and said, oh my God, I gotta tell Lisa. And she said, no. She said, first you gotta call your father, then you can tell Lisa. And I think right there, that just shows the impact that the staff at Sydney Mines Middle School had on me getting here, because everyone in that school has helped me so much. And the principal of that school was the first person I wanted to tell before my father. Oops. So, Vital Excellence Awards. At the end of January this year, I was awarded the Vital Excellence Award for my volunteer work in the community. And I think with this, it never really hit me until afterwards how big of a thing it actually was. And I wish I could relive this night 20 times over. The day of the Vital Excellence Award, I found out I was accepted on full scholarship to go to Frame 2024 in Ottawa. And I had never flown that far by myself before, and I had never been outside the Maritimes. And nonetheless, I got on that plane and I went. And it was tough, but it really affirmed that I was where I was supposed to be. Because when I entered the program, I had a lot of imposter syndrome, wondering if I should be there. And when I walked through that conference and talked to people, this is where I should be. So in March, 2 weeks later, I attended Motivate Canada's national conference. And the theme of this conference was Tell Your Story. And I had found out about TED a few days prior. And at this conference, that was the first time I really verbalized my life story. And I think it really played a part in helping me write this. So I went back and forth on how I wanted to end this. I looked at a whole bunch of songs, whole bunch of quotes, had to be something. And then I decided to end it with dance. And then I decided I didn't like that. So anyway, I was making this up for my kids' cookbook. For me, it is so important that I tell the kids about these people because these individuals started the food bank. They are why I'm able to spend 40 plus hours a week with these kids. And that is where we've begun. And it is so important that they realize that. So I'm going to end off with a quote. If there ever comes a day when we can't be together, keep me in your heart and I'll stay there forever. Thank you.